Direct News TV. May 31, 2024. South Africa election results: ANC short of majority after 60% votes. The ruling African National Congress Party in the lead with just under 60% of the votes counted. However, it is falling short of a majority. The Democratic Alliance sits second while former President Zuma's Umkhonto we Sizwe, MK, party currently third. How does the electoral system work in South Africa? South Africa uses a closed-list proportional representation electoral system, allowing political parties to choose candidates based on their own internal party rules and processes. Voters cast ballots for a party with associated candidates list determined before the election. Voting is under a proportional system in which parties and candidates are competing for 400 seats in the National Assembly. Parties on the national ballot will contest 200 of those seats while the other 200 are divided among the 9 regions and contested by parties and independent candidates. For the first time, voters received 3 ballots instead of 2 in this election. On each ballot, they had to choose one party or one candidate. 2 ballots will be used to elect the National Assembly, and the third one will be for the election of members of the provincial legislature in each province. When was the last election and what were the results? The ANC has won every election since the end of apartheid in 1994 when Nelson Mandela became the country's first black president. In 1994, the ANC won 62.5% of the vote. In 1999, it won 66.4%. In 2004, it reached its highest levels, clinching almost 70% of the vote. In 2009, it won nearly 66%, and in 2014, it won 62%. In the last election in 2019, the ANC achieved its lowest margin of victory, winning 57.5% of the vote. The official opposition DA has come second in the past 5 elections. Research group predicts National Assembly seat allocations. The Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR, a scientific and technology research organization, has given its predictions of the seat allocation of political parties in the National Assembly, according to the state broadcaster. The CSIR said it predicts that the ANC is likely to lose its majority in the National Assembly and the DA will have a slight increase in its seats. For ANC, it is likely that they will end up with around 160 seats, CSIR official Pravesh Deba was quoted as saying by SABC. DA is looking as if they will end up with about 87 and MK 58, and F 38. Could the MK be a significant player in South Africa's political landscape? Former President Zuma is the wild card in this election. He was set to run for parliament but was kicked off the candidate list for the MK party by a last-minute court decision because of a 2021 conviction. Now he's fielding a stand-in and testing a new role as kingmaker. Zuma is determined to be a thorn in the side of the ANC, with which he has since fallen out. With the MK, Zuma is looking to wrest power from his old party, if not nationally, then at least to split the ANC's votes in his home province of KwaZulu-Natal. With just over 58% of the votes announced, MK sits third on the list with 11.3%. Palestine looms over elections as Israel wages war in Gaza. The ANC's outspoken support for Palestine has featured in the elections, with the party playing up its efforts to hold Israel accountable through a case at the International Court of Justice, ICJ, accusing it of genocide in Gaza. Members of the anti-apartheid struggle have long seen a connection between their fight and Israel's treatment of the Palestinians, which a rising number of leading human rights groups have said constitutes apartheid. Muslim areas in Cape Town, we haven't seen the results as yet, but from what we have picked up just on the ground and engaged, there is definitely going to be an upward surge for the ANC, and the Palestinian issue has made a massive difference, ANC provincial spokesperson Muhammad Khalid Said told the Daily Maverick, a South African news outlet. He added that the government's reason for approaching the ICJ was not for votes but because of our commitment to human rights and our commitment to a sovereign Palestinian state. Western Cape votes expected to be finalized on Friday. The Electoral Commission of South Africa, IEC, in the Western Cape has said it hopes to finish capturing voting results today, with ballot counting in the province already completed, according to local media. The statement comes despite the glitches experienced on IEC systems across the country on Friday morning. The Western Cape is governed by the opposition Democratic Alliance, DA, since 2009, and this is not expected to change in the latest elections. DA not in coalition talks right now, party leader. South Africa's Democratic Alliance Party leader John Steenhuisen says the DA was not in coalition talks after this week's election. With almost 56% of the results announced, the DA currently sits second with 24%. The ruling ANC currently tops the table with just under 42% and will require the help of other parties to form a government. What does Zuma want? Political analyst William Goomd, speaking about Zuma and the ANC, told Al Jazeera what he believes the former president, who now heads the MK, may want out of this election. I think what Zuma wants is two things. He's not interested in being anywhere close to government. What he wants is a presidential pardon, so he is going to look for a coalition with a governing party at the national level that can give him a presidential pardon. He has got multiple corruption, racketeering charges and has been trying for years to get out of it. He has run out of legal runway, has to face corruption charges, and is very likely to go to jail in his old age. What he wants to do is prevent that from happening. And the only way to prevent that from happening is to get a presidential pardon. So everything he does is based on that. He wants to get the high numbers for the MK party so he can get into a national coalition, where whoever is elected president gives him that pardon. Is DA run Cape Town a city only for the rich? The official opposition Democratic Alliance, DA, party governs just one of South Africa's 9 provinces, the Western Cape, while the ANC governs the rest. The DA calls Cape Town the best-run city in the country. But poor residents and people who live in the townships on the periphery disagree. Many say the DA is elitist and runs a city that functions only for the rich. ANC likely to accommodate left-wing parties for a coalition. Political analyst Sandile Swana says the ANC will win about 42% of the votes. So they lost 15 percentage points of the votes compared with the last election, down from 57% to give and take 42%, he told Al Jazeera from Krugersdorp. Hence losing majority in South Africa and overall control of the country. According to Swana, for a coalition, the ANC would have to accommodate the left-wing parties, which are the MK Party, the Economic Freedom Fighters, and the African Transformation Movement, among others. In the absence of that, you will have perpetual protests. Big businesses in South Africa are calling for the ANC to form a coalition with smaller parties and exclude other big parties. So the most likely scenario is where the ANC accommodates the left. What happened on Thursday? The first day of vote counting got underway in South Africa on Thursday after the country went to the polls a day earlier in a crucial vote for the governing ANC. Polls officially closed at 9 p.m., 1900 hours o'clock GMT, on Wednesday, but long voter queues and delays kept many polling stations open until about 3 a.m., 1 o'clock GMT, on Thursday. Vote counting began shortly after polls closed and continued throughout the day. By 4 p.m., 1400 hours o'clock GMT, results were concluded for 22.6% of all voting districts, the country's electoral commission said. Just before 11 p.m., 2100 hours o'clock GMT, more than 40% of the vote was tallied. Counting continues into Friday. Zuma's MK party gained ground in KwaZulu-Natal, and the main opposition DA took an early lead in the Western Cape. Meanwhile, the ANC struggled more than it did in previous elections. Analysts say it is unlikely the ANC will get a 50% majority, which means the party will have to seek coalition partners to govern. Final results are expected to be announced by Sunday. Man arrested for election fraud in Cape Town. A man who allegedly voted twice in the polls has been arrested in Cape Town, according to local media. Western Cape Provincial Police Commissioner Thembisile Patekile said the 64-year-old was arrested at Hoërskool Jan van Riebeeck in the suburb of Gardens. Patekile added the man first voted at Jan van Riebeeck primary, adding that he will be charged with election fraud. All votes have been counted. Famida Miller, our correspondent in South Africa, says all the votes have been counted. The Election Commission is in the process of validating the results, that's why they are slow coming in, Miller said, reporting from Midrand. The Election Commission said earlier that the final results should be announced by Sunday, and that hasn't changed yet. It appears that the turnout was around 58%. My name is Kingsley. Please like, share, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be the first to be notified whenever we post. You won't regret it.